Hi everyone, it's Agnes. I've got another fantastic manifesting story. This one's a little bit quirky. It's from Caitlin. It's called The Fairy Ring. Okay, the fairy ring. Shortly before I was born, my father started his own heating and air conditioning company with a satchel of second-hand tools and a beat-up grey pickup truck. Christmas time was approaching and my father could not afford a present for my mother, who was expecting me in a few months. At this time, my father also developed serious lung problems that would nearly take his life and continue to plague him for the next decade. Days before Christmas, and horribly ill, my father received an emergency call from a local jewelry store. My father worked through the night to make sure that the store would be able to open the following morning so that more fortunate people would be able to complete their holiday purchases. The owner of the store was extremely grateful to my father and offered to pay him more than the agreed upon amount. Embarrassed, my father asked that they could trade his services for a pearl necklace for my mother. Jeff the jeweler threw in a matching set of earrings. This interaction sparked a friendship that would grow and endure over the following 2 decades. My mother and myself became favourites of his, and my mother managed to amass quite a collection of jewellery at near cost. Jeff's jewellery store was directly across the street from the local pharmacy. My mother, not wanting me to know how critically ill my father was, would often momentarily leave me with him as she met with the pharmacist, picked up my father's medication, or visit him in ICU, as we had no extended family. These moments spent in the jewellery store were extremely happy times for me. Jeff taught me to examine jewels under the microscope, and I became entranced by the light and colours of the gems. I was allowed to try on almost anything I wanted as long as I asked politely. At the age of 4, I felt absolutely regal. However, I was still too young for nice things, as my mother put it. Jeff would then slide me a pair of small stud earrings or a Minnie Mouse watch, all of which I still have. One of the pieces that my mother obtained during this period was a gold pinky ring with an emerald surrounded by small diamonds. I was absolutely enchanted by it, and as it looked just like the ring that the fairy prince Cornelius gave to Thumbelina in the cartoon movie. I used to beg my mother relentlessly to try on the fairy ring. When I was 18, I went to my first study abroad program to Italy. My mother, with whom I have an emotionally strained relationship, grudgingly presented me with the fairy ring so that men won't bother you at the bars. For the next 8 years, that ring went on all sorts of adventures. We climbed the Matterhorn, we excavated a castle in Belgium, we got lost in Pompeii twice, and I wore it while I served as a student ambassador for the United States in Germany. 8 months ago, at Christmas, I was visiting my best friend and her new husband in London. I was staying in a fabulous hotel, which I had managed to attract at a fraction of the normal price. I was feeling badly about myself because I had put on a little weight, and I left the ring on my dressing table before going out for the evening because it was getting too tight to wear on my ring finger. The next morning, worse for wear, I left the fairy ring on the table as I boarded my plane back to America. My mother started to demand the return of the fairy ring, which she hadn't worn in almost a decade. Panicked, I repeatedly imagined a scene in my head where I had given her the ring before we left for the company Christmas party that we host for more than 30 of my father's employees. She believed that I had given it to her. Anytime she would ask me where the ring was, I repeated this scene in such detail that she accepted it as fact. Simultaneously, anytime I would think about the ring or worry where I had left it, I would tell myself over and over, it's on its way back to me, it's on its way back to me, while focusing on how it looked on my ring finger and how it felt. A few months later in May, Jeff the jeweler was closing his store for good. On the last day, he and I sat in the plush chairs at the engagement ring counter as my parents perused what was left of his inventory. I felt morose that I would never be able to sit in these chairs and have him help me pick out my engagement ring, which was a moment that I had always assumed I would share with him. Seeing my sadness, he said, "Come here, I want to show you something." He walked with his cane over to another ring case and brought out an emerald, diamond, and platinum ring that was fit for an empress. It was exactly the kind of ring that I had drooled over the most as a child. It was better, bigger, and more extravagant than anything my mother has. "I'm going to make you the deal of a lifetime," Jeff said, holding it out to me with shaking, crippled hands. "It belongs with you." My father gave him a cursory $500 for the ring, which was presented to me as a graduation present. I believe that this was the way in which the other emerald ring, the lost fairy ring, had come back to me. I gave up on ever seeing the original ever again and continued to remind my mother that she'd lost it whenever she asked about it. Less than a week after I moved to Ireland to do my PhD at Trinity College, my father calls me. He had been moving the dressing table out of my apartment in Philadelphia and found a coin purse that he had bought me as a joke in reference to a movie about an American girl moving to Ireland some years ago. Inside was the original fairy ring. Oh, I love that story. Very intricately woven. I love how your mum believed you too. It's amazing. You tell people stuff enough times and they do believe you. So, I hope that Caitlin's story has inspired you, that no matter how it looks, that you keep at it. And may you enjoy a lovely cup of tea or coffee today. I'm having a hot lemon with organic honey from the mountains near where my mum lives. Pockets of joy. Remember to do things that make you feel good along your day. As Shiva had said during his interview, it's about making yourself feel loved. And this, for me, is my pocket of joy. It's, 9 o'clock at night Sydney time. And I just thought I'd do one more YouTube. I've done quite a few in the last few days, but there's so many good stories I want to read. And I'm going to be traveling Tuesday, Wednesday. So you're going to miss out on a few YouTubes and some contact at that time. So I thought I'd do some extra ones for you in the meantime. Lots of love, everybody. Enjoy your pocket of joy and let me know what yours is, because it's nice to share them. Lots of love. Mwah!